Welcome to My Crazy, My Rules. And before I even get into today's podcast, I want to send a gigantic thank you to Ben Hemsath and Runtel Media. I'll have to remember that because he has become a big sponsor of mine. And let me tell you, this studio that he has set up is absolutely amazing. You can go ahead and I can have another person in talking with me. We can also set it up, or he can set it up to be 4 or 5 people sitting around talking. It can be done as recordings. It can be done as having people remotely come in and I can speak with them. So, where my podcast is going to go now is going to just be tremendous thanks to Ben. So, what I'm going to tell you, Ben, right here, right now, is thank you so very much for making this possible for me and also making it possible for others that want to do their own podcast. That's what his studio is all about, is helping people from the very beginning, like he's helped me. Ben was around when I did my very first podcast, and he has given me hints and everything since that time. And that's why I'm so excited that this being the first video podcast. And for the people that are tuning in now, for the people that have been with me since my first podcast or my first episode, I need your help to make this a success. And I'm not talking about the podcast itself, but I'm talking about what's going on here today. I need your help to tell me what you enjoyed about me doing it in a video format, what you think would be better, what you think that you liked, and you can go ahead and email that to me. Now, as always, the emails have not changed. It is letters at mycrazymyrules.com. And that is where you can send whether it's anything about today's podcast that you'll have comments about, anything, the letters you want to send in. And let's talk about those letters for a minute. If you were with me at the beginning, you heard my story talking about how I lost my mother when I was very young, joining the fire department, joining the military, and it was kind of my challenge. And then you heard letters from others, and that's what this podcast is about. It is about taking your letters, your emails, and being able to publicize them a little bit. Now, I don't give your name, I don't talk about you per se. But I use your letter because so many people may have the exact same challenges you do. And that's what this podcast is about. It's about sharing your challenges, also sharing your successes with others so that we can learn from them. You will send a letter in to me. I will read it. It will be anonymous, or you may want me to use your name. One of the young ladies that sent a letter in to me used a fake name to in the beginning, but at the end of her letter, she said thank you to the person she was talking about and used her own name because that was her therapeutic way of getting it out there. And she wrote me afterwards and talked about how amazing it was to hear somebody else reading her thoughts to where she could process them with somebody else's voice. And that helped me tremendously. And that made me realize that this podcast is really worth it. I I look at different podcasts, and one of the things I see is if I want 1 million subscribers, just talk about politics, whether I'm for the current president, against the current president. I can have 1 trillion people tune into that because everybody wants to make their comments known about what they feel about our president and the people, the Congress, the Senate. I don't want to do that. I want to take a podcast and I want it to be helpful to people. I have strived my entire life to be taking care of other people in the fire department, in the military, as a 911 dispatcher. This is what I've done, and this is what I will continue to do. And one of the things I think is different with My Crazy, My Rules is that I don't do 1,000 different takes. I don't cut out what I think, oh, you didn't want to hear or you did want to hear. I leave that up to you. If I make a mistake, I continue on. You hear my mistakes. If I get emotional, as I have done with a few of these letters, you hear my emotions. It is real, and that's what's so important. And that's what I kind of want to talk to you about today is how you can help me help you, so to speak. I even had my TI, my training instructor from went into basic training in the military, he wrote in about a challenge he had when he found out he had a heart condition. That was amazing to me. He brought up things that nobody else would have ever thought about, and then he gave the praise afterwards to those that helped him. And I can't tell you how emotional that was to me and how heartfelt it was because, number one, this was a man I greatly respected. He was my TI in the military. He was my mom and dad for 7 weeks. And then he came and said, Ben, I want you to read this letter because I know you're going to be able to help me. And that meant a lot to me. And then my relatives have sent emails in. I received emails and letters from California, from the West Coast to the East Coast. And that was in my first couple weeks. So it told me I was reaching people, and that is so much what I want to do. So here's what I'm asking from you. This is, like I said, my first video podcast. So I'm not getting into the letters today. I'm not getting into a lot of that. But let's talk about the letter that you're going to send in to me. Again, the first thing is it can be anonymous. Not a problem at all. I want you to tell me about what it is you're feeling, what it is that you're challenged by. My challenges included in the beginning just the feelings that I had with the depression that I have, with the agoraphobia, not even wanting for 2.5 years. I never left the house. You may not understand what that's like, but think about it, 2.5 years that the furthest I would go away from my house was my mailbox. That was my life. And I was able to get over things like that from the help of others. And I'm not talking about okay, I'm a VA patient. So no offense to the doctors and the psychiatrists that work there now, but let's be real. The care was not the greatest. I had doctors that I were amazing that helped me so tremendously, and then the next week they were gone. And then there was doctors that I think were the worst ever, and unfortunately they're still there. So it wasn't the doctors that helped me. It was the people that were there the same time I was. It was the person that was in the Army or the Marines that shared their stories with me. And that is what my entire podcast is about. It's when you share your stories with me. It's amazing to hear what people have gone through. People that have jumped out of airplanes, people that have been in a war zone. When they talk to you, they have challenges. But the thing that I know is it's not just the police officers, it's not just the firefighters, EMS personnel, SWAT teams, whatever. Everybody, every single person has something going on in their life that they just can't figure out. Whether you're a police officer that unfortunately just saw the worst call of their life, or you're a school teacher that just talked to a parent that absolutely does not care about what education their child gets. Everybody has an issue, and that's what this episode, podcast, letters, website, whatever it is, that's what we're striving for. We want to be able to not just help you, but help other peoples that have these same situations. Maybe not exactly the same, but the same situations. And for the first responders, for the military people, I absolutely want to hear what you have going on. I don't want you to tell me, oh, Ben, this is the worst call I've ever been on, because having PTSD myself, having seen those type of calls that you're talking about, I don't want you to go through that again. And that's why I say do it in a letter, because when you do something in a letter, you're actually seeing it 3 or 4 different times. You're thinking about what's going on. You're then putting it down on paper or you're typing it into your computer, and then you're reading it and then you're sending it. So that's 4 times you get to process it. And then after those 4 times, you get to hear me read it. So you are now outside looking into your own story. And after I read it, you have other people making comments. It is tremendous. I cannot tell you how much it meant to me after I read my story for the people that wrote back in and they told me, Ben, I went through the same thing. I had a person from New Hampshire write into me and he said, Ben, I went through almost identical things when I put my father into hospice, when my mother had to go into hospice. One of the things with my mom was she was telling me almost innermost uh, her innermost thoughts, but her secrets that she wanted to get out before she passed away. And I thought, wow, this is my mom telling me that. But then I heard from other people that this is what happens as people get closer to passing on, to dying. My wife, bless her, is a hospice nurse, which is incredibly hard. And she has stories. And I tell her, write them to me. And she's like, I tell them to you. I'm like, no, write them down so I can share them and you can share them. And that's what this is about. So, what I'm saying to you in a very short episode today, because it is my very first video podcast, I'm very excited, but I'm also very tight, and we're going to get through that. I need your letters now. That's what's going to make this podcast, My Crazy, My Rules, a success, is you sharing and me sharing. So I'm not going to repeat myself a million times. I'm going to make it a fairly short episode, but I'm going to reiterate. I need you to send your letters to letters at mycrazymyrules.com. That's where I'm going to get them. I read it every day, so I'll be able to get them. The other thing is share the podcast, share the episodes. There are some amazing episodes. There's stories from TIs, there's stories from nurses, first responders. If you know a first responder, a police officer, a firefighter, and they come to you and they say, wow, I just had this call. I really am having trouble processing it. Say, you know what? You should write it in to this podcast, My Crazy, My Rules, and they'll be able to read it out and other people will help you process it and you'll be able to process it yourself. We are on 3 different platforms right now. See, I told you, if I make mistakes, I just keep going. We are on 3 different platforms right now. We are on YouTube, and this is amazing. It's going to be my first video on YouTube. We are on Apple Podcasts, and we are on Spotify. So if you go to any of those 3 and just hit that magnifying glass and look for My Crazy, My Rules, it's going to pull up the episodes. There's a number of very good ones, and you'll be able to watch these and share them. Again, you'll send your letters in. And one of the things I tell people all the time, and I always end my episodes with, if you are having an issue right now, something serious is going on in your head, don't wait for the podcast. There are people out there that are able to help you. There are hotlines for you to call, and you can just look for the ones in your area. And don't hesitate to call them. Don't hesitate to get the help that you need immediately. You can share with me later on, but I do not want you to hurt yourself. One of the things people don't realize is that whatever you do today can affect you for a very long time, if not affect the people around you forever. So we don't want to ever make rash decisions. We want to, when we're hurting, there's hotlines, there's military hotlines, there's first responder hotlines, there's hotlines for you, mom and dad, that you don't have to be a responder. Use them and then tell me how much they helped you later on. So, starting Monday, which will be October 8th, I believe, 7th, 8th, right in there, we are going to be starting our video podcast with the letters. So, I need your letters. I need them today. It's not like the postman takes 2 to 3 days to send them to me. I'll have them within a few seconds of you sending them to me on my email. And I'm sure by now you forgot what the email is. And it's going to be letters at mycrazymyrules.com. The 3 podcast areas, you can see our page on Facebook, which has a lot of good information on it. And until Monday, I'm going to tell you this is my crazy, my rules. What's yours?